my name is Uddhav. Parab, naam to suna hi hoga. Yeah, I hope you guys know there was a chief minister in Mumbai called Uddhav, guys. But singularly, I genuinely want to congratulate all of you for waking up on Sunday itna sara gyan sunne ke liye. I am going to talk about something interesting and mildly surprising. So, my name is Uddhav Parab. I think I've already covered that part. I'm a creative director, comic, writer, a big fan of hyphens. That's why you see it there. And thank you for coming to my TED Talk. So I really thought about it. There are actors here, there are entrepreneurs here, there are editors here. What could I bring to the stage that's different from all of the others? What could I say in a TED Talk that's never been said before? And that's why I decided to do the world's shortest TED Talk. I'm done, guys. Bye. I'm kidding. They wouldn't allow me to do that. Otherwise, it would make for an interesting TED Talk, but it would be pretty useless. So, I really thought about it. And I decided not to do this. No, not really. I'm going to stay on stage for some more time. I'm sincerely going to stay on stage for some more time. This is all a joke. So, the thing is, if you think about it, in the video we saw at the start, some 90,000 TED Talks happen across the globe. Right? Imagine at least 10 speakers coming on stage and talking about it. They are going to take a conscious gambit and talk about what's important to them, what lessons they have learned along the way, what failures they experience, what successes they experience. They're going to decode it for you. But is it going to be interesting? Why will anyone pay attention? Why will anyone take notice? At one point, Bill Gates given a TED Talk, right? And compared to Bill Gates, my net worth is really low. So why will you guys take notice? Why will you listen to me? What could I offer to you that others haven't offered before? I'll dive even deeper and make it personal to a lot of students attending right now. There are hundreds of e-schools in Mumbai, right? This is MBA college itself. On an average, on the lower side, imagine 60 students are passing out per batch. And maybe 6,000 of them are passing out in a year. And imagine all of them are applying for a job in Mumbai in a prime company like Dream11 or say Geo or some others. Now, why would those companies pick you out of the 5,999 candidates? Any reasons why? Like, what makes you really special? I mean, all of you have made your resumes using ChatGPT, right? Right? All of you are following the same template. So why will you stand out? Will you stand out because your CV has a hobbies section? Don't add that, please. It's really annoying. So I really thought about it, what could make anyone stand out? And the answer I came to was this. The only way you could stand out in a world where everyone's trying to follow a template, when it comes to CV, when it comes to creating your Instagram reels, when it comes to, your LinkedIn profile, everything's following a template, right? In this world, I say you consciously embrace risk. I say you act stupid. And by that, I mean you do something courageous. Because the thin line between courage and stupidity is really razor thin. And what happens is when you are successful, then you're called courageous, you're called smart, you're called strategic. But when you fail, you're called stupid. And the only way you stand out is obviously trying to do it honestly, intuitively, and following your gut. Now, there's this term that's really popular among Instagram generation, between Gen Z and anyone who's on social media. There's this trend that's emerged that's called just do it for the plot. So the philosophy behind it is pretty simple. Just follow your inherent curiosity, follow it consciously, just trust your gut and just go with it. What's the worst that's going to happen? And I'm going to tell you some instances where I decided to follow my inherent curiosity and where it led me and how I got on the stage. So I used to work at this company called Savan. You guys have heard of it? It used to be one of India's biggest music streaming apps. Till this other company called Spotify decided to enter the market. Spotify is a global Swedish giant. It's the #1 music app across the world. Most of you use that, right? That's the impact of that company. It's entering the Indian market. Now, how would you react if you were Savan? It's a bigger company with deeper pockets. They're going to invest a lot. You're going to get stiff competition. Now, logic would dictate ki rehne dete. Let it be. Let's not engage with them. Be the bigger guy. Be an adult. Luckily for the people at Savan, when I was working there, and even now, I'm a semi-functional adult. Like, I'm the kind of adult who somehow has managed to keep his inner child alive and feeds into it. So what I suggested to them that instead of shying away, we should welcome them. And this is what we did. We made a playlist for Spotify saying कि चलो party करते हैं, and made all the music songs that well at the time weren't available to Spotify. That got us a lot of press coverage. That got us a lot of brand love. That got us a lot of people saying, you know what, these people are audacious. These people are inherently desi. These people are inherently Indian. And that wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have taken the risk. Now, of course, Spotify could have come back to us, insulted us, made fun of us. But at the same time, they didn't. And we stood out. And I got a lot of acclaim for it. So what did we learn here today, kids? Embrace stupidity, take some big risks. And speaking of taking big risks, I had a great stint at Savan. I was there for 6 years, I had a great team, great manager, and I decided, you know what, it's time to take another risk. From being on the brand side, I moved to the agency side. And this is where things get a little interesting, because the year I decided to move, a lot of things happened in the economy. There was a tech recession, there were a lot of cutbacks, there were a lot of people losing jobs, marketing budgets were slashed. So when I was working at an ad agency, imagine trying to promote something with less access, less reach. That's tough, right? So the first brief I got on my new job, and this is a job I have joined after leaving a place where I worked for 6 years and 10 months. It's quite a long time. It might be the median age of some of the people in the audience here. So the brief I got was to promote a phone with Ranbir Kapoor, and they said that we want everyone to talk about it, but we want to play it safe. And you realize the irony about it, right? Usually when people notice something, it's audacious, it's a little risky. Now, since it's my first brief on a new job, I could have played it safe. But me being me, I decided to do something audacious. What I did was I got Ranbir Kapoor cancelled. What I did was convinced Ranbir Kapoor and the brand team and a bunch of other people in a lot of Zoom calls that it would be really, really interesting if the polite fan loving Ranbir Kapoor threw a fan's phone because he was frustrated. And eventually we revealed that he wasn't actually doing it, he gave the fan a new phone. So when we put this clip out, there was a lot of chatter on media. It's like, is he angry? Is he a Nepo kid? Do his fans deserve better? Does his wife deserve better? Does his dog deserve better? There was a lot of chatter about it. But eventually it all led to good things because we got a lot of coverage for it. Everyone covered us. NDTV, Quint, even the Economic Times covered us. And when Economic Times covered us, I realized the economy is in a really bad place. And the result was we were able to sell out that phone in 2 weeks tops. And that's the ability of risk. That's the ability of embracing your gut. Knowing that what is consciously followed is not going to help you stand out. It's when you embrace risk. It's when you listen to your voice. That's when you are able to do things in a way that stand out. That's when you are going to stand out to a recruiter. That's when you're going to be able to stand out to a future employer. So a few months back, I was looking for a job and I was like, you know what? I'm tired of being a creative director. Maybe I should try doing something else. And I was going to apply to become a CMO of a food company. And I realized a lot of people who are better equipped for this role are going to do that, right? So I did this. I wrote a cold email. I think when you say the word cold email, Ankur Variko appears, but he hasn't so far. So I wrote a cold email and I decided, you know what, even a cold email will get ignored. So I decided to be a little hot about it. And I did have an interesting conversation. I just told him that maybe your next CMO shouldn't be a CMO. And that's how I generally approach things. And while it may not work out all the time, I had a great conversation with them. I obviously didn't get the job. But at least I had a conversation. If I had just told them, hey, listen, I want to apply for a job, like Uddhav Parab CV, I would have gotten ignored because they would have gotten hundreds of CVs like that, right? Hundreds of emails with hundreds of subject lines like that. So I encourage you all to, try and be a little audacious. So if you're all asking ChatGPT the same question, we are all getting the same answers. And it's not like ChatGPT is the most reliable source on the internet, right? Like, I was one of the few people who had a lot of fun when ChatGPT 3 was launched, convincing 2 plus 2 is 5. It just showed that human intelligence is beyond artificial intelligence. But what I'm saying is, how do you do that? How do you listen to your gut? So the first things first, be honest. Don't be afraid of looking stupid, because while that might be a risk to run, but that would still be temporary. The second part, whenever you're speaking truth to power, whether it's a client, whether it's a colleague, whether it's a family, be nice about it. Be honest, but be empathetic. Like, don't go around telling someone, hey, listen, your strategy is stupid. Just be like, your strategy is, I don't know, inconsistent with the demographic we are working with. You guys are MBA students, you know what I'm talking about. And the other thing that I would really recommend is be the first one to do it, because when you take risks, then everyone else follows your template. When we did this with Ranveer Kapoor, a few weeks later, Puma did something similar with Anushka Sharma. Other brands started doing it, and then it was almost like brands were also aware of this playbook. Consumers were also aware of this playbook. It wasn't cool to do, and it didn't have the same impact. So I would encourage be first. The other thing I would encourage, and it's slightly counterintuitive, is do not be humble. Now, I'm a big Kendrick Lamar fan, but at the same time, what I mean by this is that in 2024, no matter what you do, you are a content creator, right? I know a lot of you are thinking, is he asking me to open an Instagram page and be like, share, subscribe or something? No. What I'm saying is, whether you're a creative director, a microbiologist, or a nanotechnologist, what happens is that you have to have some presence. I'm not saying that you need to have a content calendar or a Canva Pro account. I'm just saying you have to document the work you're creating. Now, a lot of you might be thinking, oh, I'm a low-key person. But in a world where competition's gotten so loud and so cutthroat, having a low profile might eventually become as good as having a no profile. So I would encourage you to document everything you learn. If you meet someone interesting at an airport lounge, take a photo, talk about it. But make sure that you share your story with the world. The other thing I want to encourage you all is to try new experiences. Let me just jog you back to the memory. There are certain older people in this crowd. So you guys remember the first time you saw someone with an iPhone? Right? How fascinating it was. It almost felt like that person's from the future, even though they just bought the iPhone because they were rich. The same thing, right? The first time you see someone with a cutthroat new piece of technology or trying something that's not being done before, you pay attention. And that's what I'm encouraging you to do. That experience may not always be related to money, but at the same time, it will give you a certain amount of shock value. It will give you a certain amount of cinematic value, and that will make you stand out. So, you guys agree, right? You remember the first time you saw a friend or family with an iPod or an iPhone, you paid attention? Agreed? So that's why I decided to be the first person who's doing a TEDx talk on a Ray-Ban Meta. Smile, guys, on camera. Cool, I think we got it. I'm not sure. We'll find out. So, be the kind of person who tries new things. Don't be the kind of person who's like, hey, I'll buy an EV when it's stable, I'll get an Apple Vision Pro when it's the third generation. Because if you do it now, at least people will take notice, you will learn something, and you will have an interesting story to share. And if you don't have an interesting story to share, we might as well be ChatGPT, right? So yes, please do things for cinematic value. Your LinkedIn is now your Instagram. Please talk about all the cool things you do at work. Please be a storyteller. It doesn't matter if you don't bring a lot of craft to it, but the more you do it and the more honestly you do it, the more you talk about the risk you took, the lessons you learned, the better it would be for you, because more people will react to it and more people would want to connect with you for it. Be seen, be heard, make mistakes, don't be boring, because what I see that's happening with this generation, whether it's a bunch of interns I'm working with or whether even college kids I'm watching, it feels like they came out of a xerox shop. And what I mean by that is that if all of us are drinking Vietnamese cold brews from Blue Tokai or Subco, if all of us are wearing oversized blue-orange streetwear t-shirts and the same Adidas Sambas, then how are we original? How are we unique? You could be replaced overnight if there's nothing new about you, if there's nothing novel about you. So what I encourage is try new things, do different things. Pursue paths that aren't very common. By that, I simply mean go and try and do things which don't come naturally to you. Go watch a movie without seeing a trailer. Go to Spotify and listen to an album or a genre you don't listen to. Go to a place to eat because you haven't heard of it on Instagram. Because places which aren't on Instagram usually serve the best food, right? Yes, so do it for the plot, be cinematic. and take a lot of shots because you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. That's what he said. And speaking of shots, I have been taking literal shots here. And the reason for that is this is a shot I took at Humpy, which was featured by Apple. This is a shot I took at a football match, which was featured by Mumbai Mirror. And what happens because of that is that tomorrow when AI takes over my job, they will have to deal with my manager, so God bless them. But the other advantage I have is that I will always have a job. AI can't take all of the jobs in the planet, right? So I'm asking you to be multifaceted, follow your gut, follow your interests, open Reddit, open Instagram, and learn a new hobby. Pick up a new skill, pick up a new side hustle that pays you. Now, speaking of the thing that I've been telling you guys, follow your gut. The only way you're gonna do it is you're gonna have a stronger gut is by feeding it, and by that I mean really travel, read, do different things. Don't spend all your money on sneakers, kids, or crypto. So in closing, I just want to say this, the decisions that don't make a lot of logical sense eventually have a huge payoff. And that's only going to happen when you are comfortable taking these risks. Whether it's big or small, you have to continuously do that. Don't go with the safe option each time. Try and diversify. Try and go with the voice of your gut. And what usually happens, like I said at the start, there's a very razor thin line between courage and stupidity, right? And when your courage is rewarded, it's not stupid, and then you get to come on stage and give a TED talk about it. But you guys have been a very patient and lovely audience. I hope I see you guys do risky things and eventually you find me on Instagram, LinkedIn, or I don't know, at WTOKI near you and tell me that I inspired you in some way. In closing, I just want to say this. My name is Uddhav Parab, and thank you for coming to my TED talk. I also wanted to say this, which I'm sure a lot of people are not going to get. It's just Jai Mata Di, let's talk. Okay, thanks, bye. God bless you. Thank you.